Chapter 3 The Road to Idlewild. It was 1955. About a year had passed, and 'twas kept his word. Our bookings kept getting bigger and better. We were thrilled to be playing at clubs and venues on the Chitlin circuit throughout the South. After a while, he landed us our best gig so far, the Royal Peacock in Atlanta, with a reputation as one of the best clubs in the country. We'd be staying at the only decent place blacks could stay in Atlanta, the Savoy Hotel, which was owned by B.B. Beeman, a former Pullman porter and a big guy in the insurance business. He owned the Royal Peacock, and he also owned the hotel right down the street from the club. By the time we stepped off the Greyhound bus in the Atlanta terminal, we were exhausted, ready to go straight to the hotel. The guys went to find our luggage while I looked for a bathroom. By then we had 3 uniforms, the white one from Hot Sam's, a brown set, and a cheaper suit that was bright blue. It was all we could afford, but it looked nice on stage. We used cleaning bags for our luggage, not the plastic kind. They were made of heavy brown wrapping paper, but still we felt like traveling pros. I stepped into the first waiting room I could find and walked inside. As soon as I did, someone pushed up next to me, and I felt cold, hard steel pressed up against my skull. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see a white man wearing some kind of a badge. "Hey boy, get the fuck out of here," he said in a vicious southern drawl. I froze. "Get your black ass out of here." Then a little old white lady butted in, pointing. "The colored waiting room is down the hall. Hurry, go, he might kill you." I backed away while the irate white man kept screaming, "Get the fuck out of here. Go on, nigger, get. Okay, I managed to say as I stumbled away. "I'm going." I ran back out to the guys, babbling on about what had just happened, warning them not to go in that direction. We found a small, funky waiting room in another part of the terminal with a nasty water fountain and a colored sign over it. We tried not to stay there but 2 seconds. Then, as fast as we could, we got a cab and went straight to the hotel. That was our first introduction to Atlanta. I've always wondered what would have happened if that old white lady hadn't said something. What if I'd lost my cool? Was she another one of the angels in my life? Whoever she was, I'm glad she spoke up. We headed to the club soon after arriving at the hotel, since Beeman had informed us we could eat there, and also we had to rehearse. The first thing we noticed was another name on the marquee, the opening act, James Brown and his famous Flames. "Who's that?" we said. The name of his new recording, Please, 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 was listed too. We were curious about him, but we got busy rehearsing with the band and didn't think more about it. Instead, we concentrated on running through our songs. By now, we had some nice arrangements on paper, a guitar part and a piano part. From that, you could do almost anything. We still didn't have any horn arrangements, but wherever we played, there were usually 2 or 3 horns that could pick up riffs and add to it. All the musicians were pretty good at improvising back then. The band was elated that we were singing old standards and jazz-type songs in this Chitlin Circuit club. We discovered that people really enjoyed good singing as long as you gave them some funk every now and then. After rehearsal, we went back to the hotel. We'd still hadn't heard the other act and didn't give it much thought. By the time we got back to the club, the Friday night crowd packed the house. The place was jumping. We went down to our dressing room to get ready, where we could hear the MC announcing, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Brown." So we kind of crept upstairs to see what this James Brown was all about. All of a sudden, his band blasted out this funky music, and he started dancing and singing a mile a minute. We were amazed. He was tearing up the house. Shit, it was phenomenal. All of a sudden, we panicked. Why in the world would they have us follow him? This man's even got a record. He's doing it. We just kept looking at him. It was hard to tear our eyes away. Then slowly we backed down the stairs and kept listening, disbelieving that he could maintain this fever pitch for about 25 more minutes. All we could do was look at each other, thinking, how in the fuck we gon' follow this? We were getting scared, to be honest. Not only was he sharp, he was moving faster than lightning. His little band was tight, moving in unison, horns blowing. It was unbelievable. Nothing like it. We sat there thinking and almost praying. At the end of his act, it got quiet. We looked around, speechless for a minute. Then I squeaked out, "Well, what we gonna do, fellas?" Levi finally spoke up. "Well, ain't but one thing we can do. First of all, we're going to go up there and tell the manager to take an extra 15-minute intermission. Instead of 15, it's going to be a half hour. We gosha have to cool these folks off." We nodded. "Good idea." He went on, "We can't out-funk him. We can't out-dance him. We can't out-holler him. But we can out-sing this motherfucker. So we just gonna go up there and sing. That's the only chance we've got. We can add a little funk in there, but we gotta come out there singing and looking debonair and just sing to the ladies. That's all we can do. That's us." When the MC finally introduced our act, presenting the 4 aims, it was one of the first times I was nervous. I was shaking and shit. We started out singing, "This Can't Be Love." Obi was singing lead, sounding like Nat King Cole. People started quieting down, listening. When we got to the chorus, we were singing in 4-part harmony, and the crowd just lit up. People started going, "Whoa," and clapping. Then we started dancing, throwing in some slick, cool moves, getting them in the groove. Now the girls were really checking us out. After that, Levi slowed it all the way down, singing How Deep is the Ocean, a beautiful love ballad. He had them right in the palm of his hand. We then did 2 or 3 up-tempo numbers and ended with All Right, Okay, You Win, which had a big shout chorus. Off we ran, leaving the stage to a standing ovation. We couldn't have been happier or more relieved when we talked about the show back at the hotel. We agreed that whenever we came up against anybody doing their thing, all we had to remember was to do our thing, the best way we could. That was our conclusion. The only way you are going to win is just by being yourself. Our encounter with James Brown intimidated us at first, but it made us work even harder. We started learning new songs every week. Songs like Work With Me, Annie were hot at that time, and we added that to our repertoire. And new, funkier, bluesier songs, Fever by Little Willie John and Grits Ain't Groceries. We ended up feeling really good about our Royal Peacock engagement, and it was not the last time our paths would cross with James Brown's across the country. All our careers were taking off when we first met, and along the way we'd trade stories and give each other advice as we climbed the ladder. Several years later, James made a point to pay us a visit later on in our careers, when the Tops were appearing in a club in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. After the show, he came to the dressing room and started right in. "Y'all still playing in these nightclubs?" he asked. "You know, to stay in the game, you have to do more one-nighters. That's how you make real money." My reply was, "Nah, man, the way you stay in this business is you book engagements in nightclubs and do some one-nighters. That shit will carry you forever." He shook his long, processed, slicked-back mane. "Look at me, man. I'm just gonna do the one-night gigs. That's it." So we talked and argued about which way to go, sitting there drinking brandy and talking shit until 6 in the morning. By the time we left, we were both loaded. His parting words were, "Okay, we gonna see who wins." And I said, "Yeah, we gonna see who wins." As time went by, with all of our individual ups and downs, we would always check in on each other. One time, after years of the Tops staying on top of the game doing nightclub engagements, James said, "Shit, I guess what you said was all right." I replied, "I guess what you said was all right too, James. Looks like we're both winning." He laughed and said, "Fuck it. Let's just keep doing our thing. Y'all good at what you do, that's one thing." But he was way past us by then. James Brown was playing on every R&B radio station throughout the country, the godfather of soul. We were big Motown artists, and to the public we may have seemed pretty much on the same level, but we never made his kind of money. James was one of a kind. We always liked him a lot, and he liked us too. After our Royal Peacock gig, we worked in a couple of clubs owned by another prominent black entrepreneur, Arthur George Gaston. Eventually, we wound up back in Detroit. Word was getting out. Our reputation was growing. These motherfuckers can sing. They're great on stage, and they look good too. We were proud to be gaining popularity in our hometown and working every weekend at the Roosevelt Lounge, the Rage Show Bar, or the Flame Show Bar. We were especially proud that we kept getting bookings without ever releasing a record. By then, we would have loved to record, but our initial goal, as we told James, was to have careers like the entertainers performing in Vegas or New York, like Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, and Sammy Davis. We had successfully broken into the Chitlin circuit, but true to our name, we were aiming for something higher. Surprisingly, it didn't take much longer for an important part of our plan to materialize. We were back in Detroit working an industry event, the yearly auto show, which showcased new model cars and live entertainment for the crowd. We had just come off stage from performing in the late afternoon when Twas, who was now more like a manager than simply a booking agent, came up to us really hyped. "Hey Duke, guess what? This big numbers guy, Arthur Braggs, owns a club up in Idlewild, Michigan. He's interested in coming to see y'all. You ever heard of him?" I told him that I had. I was lying. Braggs has got a great club, orchestra, dancing girls, showgirls, all that kind of stuff. If he likes you, you can work up there all summer. Oh man, all summer. We've been looking for something like that. The next day at the auto show, we sang 4 or 5 songs in our beautiful uniforms. We had added a few new ones by then, and always dressed impeccably with show business flair, never over the top. They were cheap, but looked impressive on stage. When we came off stage, a good-looking, muscular man, about 5'8", dressed to the nines, self-assured and magnetic, caught our eye. It was Arthur Braggs. By then, we had done our homework about him. We knew that he was a promoter, hustler / entrepreneur and numbers man who had become a well-regarded producer of first-rate entertainment. He worked with only the best singers, dancers, and musicians, booking them in a club he leased in the exclusive black summer resort known as Idlewild. The resort was 200 miles north of Detroit, situated on a beautiful lake surrounded by pine trees and charming cottages. It sounded like paradise. "Fellas," Arthur Braggs said, as he approached us, shaking our hands, "I like the way y'all sang, and you look good too. I think you 4 Ames have a great future." This was music to our ears. We tried to stay cool, thanking him profusely. "Listen, I'm interested in having y'all come to Idlewild. You ever heard of it?" I nodded yes, but he could probably see I needed schooling. An all-Negro summer resort, top shelf, first class all the way. I own a nightclub up there, where I produce a real nice show called the Idlewild Review. How about I bring you up for a weekend, and if you do well, I'll keep you for the rest of the summer. 2 months' work. It's a good 3 hours drive from Detroit. Y'all got a ride? I said no, but he didn't miss a beat. Then I'll send for y'all, even got a place for you to stay, right across from the club. You have to pay for it, hardly nothing. Rehearsals start the day before we open July 4th weekend. Make sure you get there early. Anything you need, give me a call. We were so happy we could have hugged him. Yes, sir, Mr. Braggs, thank you. Later, we learned that everyone called him Daddy Braggs. We felt his protective, caring quality from the start. We couldn't wait to get to Idlewild and counted the days until his driver came to get us. After a relaxing drive through Upper Michigan's rural parkland setting, we arrived bright-eyed and ready to work. We checked into the rooming house Mr. Braggs secured for us, right across the road from the Paradise Club. They assigned us to one big bedroom like a dormitory. There were 2 beds pushed together and room for just one dresser, but we had our own bathroom and no complaints about our no-frills camp-like accommodations. The idea that we could spend the summer working in such a historic, unique setting was amazing. Idlewild had been around since 1912 when 4 white couples purchased a parcel of land to establish a vacation community for African Americans during segregation, when blacks weren't able to enjoy the same outdoor leisure and recreation facilities that whites did. By the time Arthur Braggs took over the lease for the Paradise Club, the resort had grown and flourished under black ownership for close to 50 years. The setting was idyllic, with mostly small homes and cottages nestled beside crystal-clear lakes and majestic pine trees. There were only a few businesses and establishments throughout its over 2,000 acres: a clubhouse, hotel, one church, a community hall, a post office, and a grocery store with a gas station fueling pump. There were 2 clubs in town, the Flamingo Bar and the Paradise Nightclub, where we were booked in the Fiesta Room. We were thrilled, and right away we prayed that Daddy Braggs would ask us to stay the whole summer. By the time we got to the club for our first rehearsal, there were already people on stage warming up, milling around, sizing each other up. Big, tall, beautiful showgirls. Smaller girls as cute as could be, dancing around. A gay dancer in his own world flying all over the stage. A big, goofy guy tap dancing along with 2 short little guys called the Harlem Brothers, who were doing athletic flips. It was a great mix. We traded glances with each other. This is going to be interesting. Rehearsals began with the opening number performed by cute young girls known as the Ziggy Johnson Dancers. They were very professional, having trained at a prestigious dancing school in Detroit. They had been hand-selected and were still underage high school girls, but you couldn't tell from their level of talent and ability. We were like, damn, they must have been the best dancers in the school. As we watched the entire rehearsal, we realized that each one of the performers could wow an audience. All eyes were on us when it was our turn to run through our numbers. As we made our way on stage, we handed the band leader our lead sheets. He passed them to the leader of the horn section, which was made up of about 5 or 6 horns. He glanced at our arrangements, which were just for the piano and rhythm section, and raised his eyebrows. Look, I'm going to write y'all some horn parts, because I got these horns over here, and they can read music. They need something to play too. It's gonna cost us, Obi said, probably hoping it would play out like when we got our last charts for free. I have to charge you, he said, sizing us up. I know y'all have to have it. No, we don't really need them. I wanted to bargain with him. We didn't have much cash. We're just gonna be here for 1 week. Well, from what I heard, I bet y'all be here the whole summer, so I'll make you a deal. You can pay me as you go along. His name was Walter Choker Campbell, and unknowingly, he bolstered our confidence, betting that we'd be around for the duration of the summer. The band started playing our charts without the horns, while those arrangements were being written. We began singing In the Still of the Night, and the noise in the background started quieting down. All eyes opened wide and folks stopped moving around. We were singing like the 4 freshmen in impeccable harmony. Then we moved into All Right, Okay. After that, what a difference a day makes, just like Dinah Washington did, with the O's flowing in a heavenly harmony, underscoring the lyrics. It's heaven when you find romance on your menu. What a difference a day makes. And the difference is you. Of course, Levi's delivery was just remarkable. We could hear the girls swooning oh and ah. He knocked everyone out. Daddy Braggs met us behind the curtain as we danced off stage, wiping the sweat off our brows. We'd worked even harder than usual trying to impress him. Looks like you guys are going to be here all summer. I think you're going to be great in my show. He immediately jumped into choreographing his vision from start to finish, weaving us into the entire show. As the show starts, I want you all to come out with the girls dancing around you. You'll sing the opening number with the girls. There's no business like show business. I was blown away. Shit, I said. This is Las Vegas stuff. Shit, that's what I do. He said, laughing, like he'd planned this routine the whole time. We started learning new songs, and Mr. Braggs was delighted to discover how easily we could pick up dance moves and choreography. The showgirls would walk around and prance during certain numbers, but the Ziggy Johnson dancers did the serious performing. They started with the opening number, performed another one in the middle, and almost before they could change and catch their breath, they'd be back again, wrapping it up in the show's big finale. Braggs's show was based around the three numbers opening, middle, and closing. After that first opening weekend, major headliners were added to the review. The house was packed every weekend. Not just black folks came, most times whites would outnumber them in the audience. Word spread, and folks from the neighboring areas, Muskegon, Traverse City, Grand Rapids, would come up to see this wonderful class act at the Paradise Club. Lawyers, doctors, teachers, factory workers, plumbers, everyone just checked their prejudices at the door and mingled together to enjoy the music. Some members of the audience owned private lake houses in the area. Others would come up and rent cabins for the weekend. There was a real party going on all the time. The family feeling in the audience extended to the performers too, especially the special connection that developed rapidly between the four Ames and the young Ziggy Johnson dancers. On the way to our dressing room during the show, we had to cross through the girls' dressing room, and we often saw them half naked, changing costumes. Even though we tried to be as professional as possible, we couldn't help but get turned on. Clynese, Inez, Donna, and Valida were just 17 or 18 that first summer, and we weren't much older. It seemed like they were as hot and bothered as we were. Word came down from Daddy Braggs and Ziggy Johnson, the show's MC, that we were not to mess with these girls. We assured everyone that we just wanted to be friends, but we kept getting eyes from the girls. They told us about a club about a mile away called Wonderland, where Idlewilders hung out after the show to unwind. They invited us to come the night after we opened. Everyone would be there, even Daddy Braggs and Ziggy Johnson. Of course, they would be accompanied by their chaperone. The only way Ziggy Johnson could convince their parents to let them leave home and work in a nightclub for the summer was if they were under constant supervision. Their parents didn't want them messing around with the musicians. Unfortunately, that was the category we fell under, so we knew we had to be gentlemanly at all times. But in spite of all the watchful eyes and us trying our best to exhibit gentlemanly behavior, we kept getting closer and closer. During the day, we would ease over to the girls' cabin, and they would cook for us. We'd buy groceries, and they'd make a big pot of something, good old home cooking, and we'd sit around eating and getting to know each other. Sometimes we would meet at the beach. There was a little cove about half a mile up the road from the Paradise Club. We would stretch out on beach blankets, swim, sun, and listen to music on transistor radios. It was the perfect backdrop for falling in love. When it was just the guys, we would play baseball, basketball, tennis, go fishing, just good, clean fun. We didn't have to work every night of the week, and on our nights off, I'd hang around Daddy Braggs, watching him manage the club. He was a role model to me. I noted how he used a clicker to count the number of people who came in, making sure that the money collected at the door wasn't short. One day he took notice that I was constantly underfoot. "You trying to learn something, ain't you, Duke?" I guessed he was right, nodding. "Yeah, I think it's pretty cool." After that, he took a special interest in me. Since my days doing the school paper drive, I was always interested in running a business. Mr. Braggs helped me understand show business on another level. I seemed to have a knack for numbers. I had automatically taken care of the group's payroll from the start. Everyone in the group contributed in a different way. We each sort of fell into our natural roles, and we were comfortable with them. By the end of the summer, everyone in the whole review had become very friendly. We were like a big family. On Labor Day, in the final show of the season, there was a tradition called burying the show. All the performers would do someone else's part. Our group would try to perform like the dancing girls. We even did our best to dress like them in girly costumes. They would sing our parts, putting on our uniforms, rolling up the pants past their waists, trying to wear our shoes. It was the funniest thing you've ever seen, with every act switching up roles. A show within a show. People from the area loved it. The last show sold out each year. It was a great way to wind up the season with a bang. That first summer in Idlewild was so new and exciting, with us learning so much about life and show business. I can't imagine a better experience for young singers starting their careers. We were looked after by a great black producer in a safe, idyllic environment, where every 2 weeks a different great artist would be headlining. It was a dream come true. One week we'd work with the legendary Jackie Wilson. The next week it would be Brooke Benton or Della Reese, and many more. Mr. Braggs had a special relationship with Della. She was a good friend of his for quite some time. He even bought her a pink convertible, Thunderbird, which she looked fabulous in. His generosity extended to us, too. By the end of that summer, he had purchased us our own wood-paneled Plymouth station wagon, complete with a record player. We were walking on air up in Idlewild. Even though I had had that prophetic dream about us attaining success, this was a step I could never have dreamed of. The other amazing, totally unforeseen occurrence was that each of us found love at the same time, in the same place, like a fairy tale romance. 4 brothers falling in love with 4 sisters. That's how bonded we were. The magic from that Idlewild summer of 1955 carried over to Detroit when the show was over. No matter how much everyone tried to discourage our romantic friendships, writing them off as summer flings, they continued when we got back home in the fall. The 4 cool cat singers seriously started dating the 4 young dancers. I began regularly going down to the Ziggy Johnson School of Dance to have lunch with Inez. Obi stepped it up with Val, taking her out on real dates. Levi would go to Clynese's house to spend time with her and get to know her family. Lawrence was pursuing a serious relationship with Donna. This wasn't just messing around, we were seriously courting. The folks who thought we were just four jive entertainers without serious intentions must have been surprised when Obi, Levi, and I married our lovely Ziggy Johnson dancers. Only Lawrence, after years of dating Donna, wed someone else. In the relationship area, I seemed to move faster than my other brothers, and after our second summer in Idlewild, during one of our breaks from touring, I married Inez. She was a nice young lady, and her parents welcomed me into their family. As a performer, I was still an unproven commodity in Detroit. Guys like me were a dime a dozen, an aspiring entertainer without a certain future, but they must have taken my love for her and my sincerity into account. We had our wedding at her parents' house on Vicksburg, near Linwood, on the west side of Detroit. It was a very simple wedding, officiated by her priest, with my family and the other tops in attendance. Even though it was a happy occasion, there was a somber aspect for me. My grandmother, the one who had imparted her values to me about discipline and hard work, was very ill and couldn't attend our ceremony. My grandfather had passed away a few months earlier. She was living by herself, and my mother asked if Inez and I would stay with her for a while after we married. My grandmother told her that even though I was a man, I would always be her baby. She welcomed Inez and me into her home, where we spent the early part of our married life when I wasn't on the road. About a year later, my grandmother passed away. Around the same time, Inez and I were blessed with a baby girl, Kai. Now it wasn't just me, I had a family to take care of. If I wasn't motivated before, I was more passionate than ever about reaching the top.